What's up, guys? Welcome to week one, the Sprint to Impossible 10-week challenge, and I am glad you're here. If this is the first time you're seeing me, what have you been waiting for? Let's get your butt in the community, start being active. Most of you guys are in this group for a reason. You want to achieve something and something big and something bold, so let's get after it. I took some notes down. I had put some suggested readings in week one, which was Dr. Hardy's chapter 1 of Be Your Future Self Now, and then the second habit of the 7 habits of highly effective people. And I took a little bit of notes on these. And if you think about where Dr. Hardy starts with chapter 1, which is the regrets of dying, he talks about Bronnie Ware's quote, which is, I wish that I had lived a life true to myself, not the life that others expected of me. And I find myself, or have found myself, feeling that way, living that way. And remember, Bronnie Ware was the Australian hospice nurse who took notes for 12 years for patients that were dying. And I don't know about you, but I'm getting up there. I'm going to be 52 in a week or so. And technically, my midlife is past. Midlife for me was supposed to be 37, according to the average age of men that die. So that means I'm 15 years beyond being middle-aged. So that gives me a little bit of urgency, if you will, to commit and do things now, be bold. And so a couple things that I took some notes on. One, Dr. Hardy talks about identity is not fixed. You can be whoever the hell you want to be. And the power of your future is shaped in the present. And the only way that we do those things is by taking action. And we all have heard him talk about eliminating lesser goals. Have you ever taken the time to take a step back and really, truly identify what are 2 or 3 lesser goals that you may have? Most of us probably haven't. And I think that's really important for us to do that. The other thing that he talks about, and there's a quote here I'm going to read, as a species, we haven't evolved to plan 20 years into the future. As a rule, our decision-making is myopic, it's short-sighted, and it lacks imagination. We're heavily incentivized to seek rewards in the present, which can greatly cost our long-term future selves. So if you think about that, the data is overwhelming that most of us don't think that way. And so what do we need to do? We need to show up every Friday. We need to show up daily on the school app. Obviously, I'm rocking the gear today. But we have to be committed to what that vision is, or committed to learning how to develop that vision. The second part of this is the 7 habits of highly effective people. And habit number 2, which is begin with the end in mind. And Dr. Covey argues that effective living and decision-making happen when you start each endeavor with a very clear picture and having an intended destination. He calls this, all things are created twice. First, it has to be created mentally with a vision. And this is where Dr. Covey and Dr. Hardy overlap. So if you've clarified what you want to do, but you don't yet know the pathway, stop trying to seek more knowledge and actually try to take a step forward so you know that if you're on the right path or not. And you have to live each day aligned with those deeper goals. And that's how we ultimately determine. Think back about a couple of people in our group. I talk about Rosemary quite a bit because it's fantastic what she has done. And in July was excited and celebrating a win with completing her 2025 goals. And I said, well, what's wrong with the rest of 2025? And she is taking on another opportunity in November, which she said was not something that she had even considered. Think about Maria Alexandra and her husband Christian, and just being bold and taking the step and going, you know what, we're going to go in the direction. We're just going to focus on the farmer's market. And now this week in the community, we're learning that there are more opportunities that are being presented to them because they are showing up and having clarity with what they need to do. So we have plenty of examples in our group about these things. The thing that I want to share also is that when we think about starting with the end in mind, Dr. Covey also mentions, he calls it the eulogy or the funeral exercise, which is essentially what we did in week one is writing your own obituary. If you haven't, please do it. Don't pretend to be in the 10-week challenge and not go through the exercises. I promise you it's an impactful exercise. And for those of you that have been in the Future You program, just rewrite it. And it's okay to share those because this is a group that we're all in this together. And my hope is in 2 years, we look back on this as a pivot point or a moment in time where you can look back and think about, wow, look at where I've come, look at how far I've grown. And then the last thing that I just want to mention is why these two were selected to be the featured reading for this particular week. And if you look about it, both of them, both authors, both men talk about living from a vision. And Dr. Covey calls it not reacting, but living from that vision. And then the physical part, which is step 2 for Dr. Covey, is executing on that vision. The last thing that I'll say is both warn that short-term, small distractions, lesser commitments are going to divert you from the core focus of being the best version of yourself. So guys, let's lock in. Let's have a great 10 weeks. We've got 9.5 weeks left as of this recording, and I appreciate your time, and I'm looking forward to growing this group. Let's go, 10 weeks.